Hi Theo, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we are excited to have you here as well. And I would just like to start off by asking you, what would you like us to know about yourself as an artist and your music?
Oh God, I don't even know. I don't know. I've just been writing and making music forever now. I didn't grow up in London. I grew up outside of London, and then it was just this is where I need to go to do that and to follow my dream, as cringe as it sounds. But I don't have a fun fact. But maybe by the end I can find my fun fact.
Let's improvise a fun fact. What are you drinking today?
Oh, tea. Very, very fun. Very unique. Tea with some sugar. Yeah, I got really into tea recently. Although, because I don't drink coffee. Coffee makes me have an anxious spiral. And someone told me last week, and I've been trying to do it, that if you drink a cup of ice water in the morning, it does the same thing as having coffee. And I've tried it, and I can report that it was wrong. It has done nothing.
Today I wanted to talk about individuality with you, individuality in society and in music. I'm thinking about how music in the past had a big role to play in shaping communities as well, and I'm thinking about folk music and its role in rural communities, or disco music in the LGBTQ plus communities or black communities in the 70s. And they really brought people together and helped shape the identity of these communities. Do you think music still has a similar role today, popular music?
Yeah, I think so. I think music always will be a way to unite communities, and I think music is a form of storytelling, and it's a way of people communicating what they're going through, and I think political music does that. I love going out, and I love going out with my girls or with any friends, and I think it can be a really uplifting way to connect to people.
Well, the reason I'm asking this is because I'm thinking about the music that is in the charts today, and often it's about songs that focus on the self, that are more inward looking, and maybe in the past, especially in the second half of the 20th century, we saw music that was more outward looking. There was more political music, or music involved in many different social aspects of life. But now perhaps it's a bit more inward looking. What do you think of this shift?
I think I do agree. I think music is what you make it for yourself, and people can still find music to be a space for community, or a space an uplifting, a space to create uplifting atmosphere or energy or whatever. But I agree. I think we do live in an age where chart music is prioritized, and I think labels often will prioritize a simpler message for artists to convey rather than a heavy political one. And I think the charts, and probably TikTok to an extent, kind of enables that, and I do think that's a problem, because I think again music should always, I think it's important for artists to use music to express things that need to be addressed rather than just a simpler topic. But I think it's up to artists to do that and to facilitate that being okay, and that. But it is difficult when algorithms run a lot of the industry now. Artists should use music, but also use a platform they can build to talk about stuff as well. I think that's really important, and I think it can be hard to write political music, because that's, I don't know, I think it might not come as naturally to some artists, and that's why I think if you have a platform, if you're not going to sing about it, talk about it, that's okay too. But I agree, I agree with you that it is an issue, and I don't really know what the solution is, because it's a catch-22 of what blows up on TikTok or what does well in the charts, what sounds good on the radio is going to be something that's more palatable. If you're driving your car to the station you got the radio on, you probably don't, you're having a stressful day, you don't want to listen to some heavy song, and that's what radios or whatever prioritize, but also those things need to be given more space and heard and stuff. I do think we're in a better era though of I think slowly our generation is better at having conversations that need to be had. Even TikTok or social media in general is really important tool for creating conversations, creating spaces for conversations, political spaces to talk about stuff. But I think that needs to evolve and grow more into radio or
You talk about how the ultimate destination of music is the radio, right? So what defines a lot of times for artists who are starting out, what defines their art and music is that like they have sort of a destination that where they want to get played on the radio, they want to become popular, and the way that we speak about it, it almost makes it seem to me that music is a product rather than a work of art, because it's, you know, like we're making it so people can listen to it in the car and we use it in certain situations for certain use cases. So do you think that this is the purpose of music, or is something else the purpose of music?
I mean, I think ultimately music should be a form of expression. I think you should block out the audience. I think it should be about what you want to say, what you love, and like what's important to an artist. If you have a message to convey which is gonna support a community, then that's like where you could like factor in what the audience hears. But yeah, I think it's problematic that is the case, but that is a lot of music is written for that, and I've definitely been in writing sessions or even being being a writer in a session where like what the catchiest hook is promoted and like and it's like detracting from the message or like the purpose of like why we make music. And I think a lot of the industry does promote, or so inadvertently like you don't focus on why we're making this music. It's about how we're going to get this music to the most people, and I think that is a problem, and I think it's a really easy trap to fall into. And I think especially if you're like up and coming, say if you have this big message to say to people, whatever that is, whatever background you're from, if you don't have a way to getting to that point where you can say something, you're going to do whatever the easiest way to getting your voice heard, and sometimes that comes at a cost of like your authenticity and like your message, and like that is a shame. And I think that is the industry that we're living in, and I don't really know what to do about it. Having more, I don't know, like pages or community spaces that can promote a cause is a good way of doing that. But yeah, I don't know, I think the mainstream industry hasn't really caught on.
You know,
it's like a work in progress, and it's like slowly changes and evolves over time, and I think the more we talk about it, the more like those spaces will open up and like you can have more difficult conversations.
It might not evolve into a radical transformation, but I'm seeing this shift in the music industries where some artists are focusing on creating smaller but closer communities around them. A smaller community of hardcore fans that they communicate with in a more direct way. So rather than communicating with your fans through the radio, you do it through WhatsApp or Discord. And of course it's going to be a smaller community of fans, but it's going to be one that is really attentive to the message that you try to convey. Yeah. So that might be a way to stick to your art and as a form of expression rather than having to compromise with what is commercially viable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like a case of quality over quantity of people or whatever, and I think that's really important. And I think like I think all artists are like, most artists have something to say and they want to do it in the most like authentic way, but it can be hard. Reducing your pool or like making sure you have a core fan base of people who get you and who are on the same wavelength, have the same views or politics or whatever is really important.
You know, musicians and artists have always been sort of models for their audience, right? Do you feel like you would have a responsibility towards your following, towards your fans, to kind of give what, in your opinion, is a good example? Or
yeah, I think I have a complex about I always want to seem really real, you know. But I'm like starting to realize that like some people hit me up, they're like, oh, I saw you here, I'm seeing you on this person's story, and I'm like, whoa, that's a bit wild. And like I think, and it's definitely not a fan base, but I think I have a problem, and this is something I need to work on, and like being like, yeah, I do have people that support me. I have this like complex about wanting to be the realist and like not, I don't know, like always being honest. I think there's this thing on social media where it's really easy to like make it look like you're doing loads of bits and like you're having a sick day, but like I could be posting on my Instagram and I could be like filming a podcast, doing a show in the studio, and like someone will say to me and they say like, oh, you're killing it, you're doing really well, and I'm like, I had to go to the toilet and cry because actually I had really bad period pain, and like I was really sad about this thing that happened with my friend, and it's like I get worried that like maybe I should post that on my story too, so that like people know it's not all like rosy in the garden. But then like I did a show last week, and like the show went really well, and then I posted this thing on my story, and I was like, oh, like not me overthinking everything I did and like over criticizing myself. And then I was talking to my friends about it after, and they were like, you don't need to post that, like that was like too publicly self-critical because I was trying to be real. And I think like it's hard to try and navigate that balance because you're like essentially like selling a product as an artist.
And of course, when you want to be honest on social media, then you're opening yourself up
Yeah.
for a lot of
Exactly.
possible backlash
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Because no one, you can't make everyone happy, can you? In your artistic process, do you work mainly by yourself or do you collaborate with other artists as well?
Yeah, I think a mixture. I collab a lot though. I love being in the studio with other people, and I think that's where I learn the most. I think there's a really important balance though. I think like I got to the point where I could collaborate because I'd spent so much writing in my bedroom on my own. I love being in the studio, I love making beats with other producers and like love writing with other writers and artists, but I think that I write my most vulnerable stuff when I'm in my bedroom on my own. And so I think you can't have one without the other.
Is there anyone in particular that you like to collaborate with?
Oh,
or that you have, recently?
I mean, a couple of people. Like, I'm really loving doing So Far Sounds at the moment, and I kind of have started like when I do a show, I'll end up befriending one of the other artists and then inviting them to the session. I think also like I've got my EP coming out with Naughty Boy, which is coming out in summertime, and we've been working together for 2 years, and I think that's been like the best ever space because he's introduced me to so many artists and writers, and I feel really safe when I go to either Ely Studios or wherever he's working out of. I feel really safe when I work with him, and we've got a really nice relationship. So I think that's definitely like been a really good highlight and like confidence boosting space for me.
You're also very active in the live music scene. How important is it, in your opinion, for music and musicians to bring people physically together in a space?
Really important. Like, so I don't know, I think it was that kind of thing where like in the pandemic it was only until the pandemic that I was like, holy shit, like this is like beyond essential. And I think like I had this moment where I was like in the pandemic writing in my bedroom, like releasing music, and then I did my first festival after the pandemic, and I was like, whoa, like this is why I do this, and it felt so good, and it was like validated, like all these things I'd done in my room in lockdown going crazy, and I was like, whoa, I'm not crazy. Like people were vibing and I was like enjoying it, and it felt like a really healthy moment of realization. And I think like music is like a connector and connects people and connects people across all whatever, like, and London's amazing for that. And I think also for up and coming artists it's really good to like spend your time doing those shows. Like I'm really grateful to be doing so many shows at the moment, and like sometimes the show is shit, sometimes the show is amazing, and you just don't know, and it's like really important to just know that it's not like, I don't know, as long as you're going in some kind of direction, it doesn't matter if the show didn't go great. Like I don't really deep it, I'm just like cool, on to the next. Like I had a good time, I'm sure I learned someone, met something cool, like made some friends.
You mentioned working on an EP that's coming out in the summer.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
So that's with Naughty Boy, which I'm really excited about. We've been working together for a while now, a year or two. And my old manager just like introduced us during lockdown, and we, he has done amazing bits. He's had big songs with Beyonce and Sam Smith, and like I was really nervous when I first met him, and then we've just since become really good mates, and I've done loads of writing with him, and it's been a really good space to be in, to write, grow and build confidence, and he's really helped with that. And there's like 5 or 6 tracks on the project, and what's been amazing is that I feel like Naughty has his own sound, like he's got a really distinctive sound, but he's really versatile too, and he just kind of let me run with the project, and it's very my sound, and we've both like been really heavily involved in all of the tracks. At no point did he try and sway me in his direction or in another direction. It was like I led the sound, I led the messaging, I was like, this is what
So if people wanted to keep up with all this and be informed when they come out, where would they find you in your music?
They can find me on Insta, it's at Theo Music _, so THEO Music _. Like once you find that, you can find me on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube.
It's a lot to think about.
It's a lot, my brain's like, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I loved our chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully we can see you here soon.
Yeah.